Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew. I'm a physical therapist here at Limitless Therapy Services in SportsMed, and today I'm going to be talking to you about squatting and how you can be more effective when doing that movement. Hey everyone, welcome to our squat tutorial video for beginners. Today I'll be going over ways that you can make this squat movement more effective and also go over a little bit of modifications that you can make if you feel like you're having restrictions at the hip or ankle that could be getting in the way of you performing the movement. And so I generally like to get people started with a chair or a box and start with what's called a box squat movement. When starting off with squatting, using a chair or a box is a good way to control the depth at which you're going. That way you can really focus on feeling the muscle groups working in the right areas. So I start with my feet a little wider than shoulder length apart. And before I start to squat down, I try to spread the floor with my feet. Using that cue of spreading the floor apart is helpful for priming the muscles in the hips and in the legs. And then from there, you want to try to shoot your hips back behind you slightly, okay? As you're starting with moving the hips behind you, you want to maintain that tension with the floor and keep going until you reach the chair. From here, I don't want you to lean back into the chair. I want you to stay in this position here, almost on the edge of the chair or box. And I'm still keeping that tension through the floor. From there, I'm coming back up. And the key thing to remember when coming up is that the knees and the hips are extending at the same time. One common mistake that I'll see people make is when they're coming down on the way back up, they extend the knees first and then the hips second. If the hips are late, it's gonna cause you to use the low back a little bit more on the way up. So you really wanna focus on making sure that knees and hips, they come together at the same time. Another common error that I'll see is on the way down, people will lean really far over. It's okay to let the chest fall a little bit when doing the squat, but you don't want to bow all the way down, arching the low back and having no stability throughout the torso. This is another way that you can cause the low back to work more when doing the movement. So let's start from the top. I'm leading the movement with the hips, letting the chest fall slightly forward, maintaining a good amount of stability here, and then I'm pressing into the floor and allowing the hips and knees to come together at the same time. So you may be ready to do a squat without a chair or a box now, and you feel pretty confident with the few steps that we went over earlier. You're able to keep good tension with the ground, spreading the floor. You're allowing the hips to drop back first. You're not bowing over too far, and you're not coming up knees first and then hips. So now you're ready for a little more depth. One common mobility limitation here is the ankles. And so if you feel like you're not able to quite go down very far, you can put your feet up on blocks or maybe on weights. That way you can have that modification available for you and you can go down a little bit further. And so from here, what I really want you to think about doing is controlling the way down. I'm still spreading the floor apart, and then on the way up, bringing the hips and knees together as one once again. Okay? One other thing to focus on when performing squats is making sure that the knees are not caving in or that you're not shifting onto one hip more than the other as you're going down. If you're noticing these things, then you might want to move back to doing the box squat and make sure that you're pretty even and balanced when performing the movement. Then you can start more depth or even using a heel raise so that you can go a little further into the movement, but always remembering that you're balanced and that you're not shifting to one side or the other. So a few key points to wrap things up is to remember when doing the squat, I'm spreading the floor down, I'm leading the movement with my hips. I'm pushing the floor down and making sure the knees and hips come together at the same time on the way up, and that I'm not bowing down forward or letting the heels come off the ground when doing the movement. If you thought this video was helpful and want to see more like it, click subscribe or leave a comment below, or you could even follow us on Instagram for more content there.